The beauty of the Augusta National Golf Club is breathtaking. If the azaleas aren't screaming at you, then the dogwoods are whispering to you. But for 47 of the world's finest golfers, there is no time today to enjoy this lovely scenery. They are playing for golf's most prestigious prize, the Masters Championship. The weather conditions here this afternoon, they are gorgeous. Wind, well, it has been gusting somewhat. And of course, that could be a factor before this final round is over. There are some clouds passing by, and the forecast says it will stay partly cloudy, but we should avoid the thunder showers and hailstorm which struck Augusta yesterday afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Augusta. I'm Brent Musburger. When last we left you yesterday, 21 golfers were still out on this beautiful golf course when the rains hit a second time. They were unable to resume play. So at 8 o'clock this morning, those 21 golfers picked up where they left off. Ben Crenshaw for a birdie here on the 18th that would have moved him to 8 under. Then it was the quiet man of this tournament, golfer by the name of Faldo. He has put together 3 subpar rounds. This was his second shot on the 18th. And that's what he left for a birdie. He was 6 under at the time. Meanwhile, David Graham was putting for a birdie at the 18th. He had missed one like that at the 17th, just coming up short twice in a row. And David Graham would remember that during the delay prior to the start of the 4th round. Now this was Faldo for the birdie. And that pulled him at the moment to within 1 of the lead. But Kyte, his second shot, was making a bold run on the leader, Mark Lai. Lai had come up short with his approach. It had not made the rise in the green. Lai made par, and Kyte was putting for a birdie and the 3rd round lead. And so as we ended 3 rounds, 4 strokes separated the top 9 golfers. You can see Kyte with that 1-shot advantage on Lai. Then it was Ben Crenshaw, David Graham, Faldo was there, and of course Tom Watson, the 2-time Masters champion, very much in it. Fred Couples at 5 under, as were those other 2 golfers right there, including Larry Nelson, the U.S. Open champion, who had fashioned that 66, and of course Rex Caldwell at -5. Now I'd like to take you out and have the announcers introduce themselves, who will be covering this, the final round of the Masters today.
Hi, I'm Bob Murphy. I'll be at the 10th hole, 485 yards, par 4.
I'm Steve Melnick, and I'll be at the 11th hole, a par 4, and also the 12th hole, a 160-yard, par 3.
I'm Vern Lundquist at the short par 5, 13th hole.
I'm Gary Bender. I'll be at 14, a par 4, 405-yard hole.
I'm Ben Wright. I'll be reporting the play from the 500 yards, par 5, 15th hole.
I'm Clive Clark, covering the 170 yards, 16th.
I'm Frank Lieber, and I'll be at 17.
And I'm Pat Summerall. I'll be at 18, a 405-yard par 4. Now let's go out on the course to Ken Venturi.
The speed and the undulations of these greens will dictate how a player plays them. He can be timid or he can be bold. I'm going to hit 2 putts we'll show you on Action Track. I will show you a timid putt and a bold one. I know the greens are fast and you have to be careful, but I think the winner of the Masters will be the bold putter, for he will master the greens. And that's what they're going to face out here, Brent. Back to you.
All right, then they announced the pairings for the final round. Andy North electing to play alone. For our leaders, Tom Kyte and Mark Lai, they would be paired again for the 2nd straight day. They would also have a wait of 4.5 hours before they started this, the final round. Many of the golfers have put in some time out on the practice tee as well as the putting green before they went out for this final round. And right now, our leaderboard in this, the fourth round, looks like this as we bring you up to date at the moment. It is Tom Kite with a one-stroke advantage on Ben Crenshaw, former Texas teammates, the two who tied for second last year behind our Masters champion, Seve Ballesteros. Mark Lai, he won't wilt at all. He went out on the first hole here this afternoon in the final round and threw a red number at Tom Kite. And there is Dave Edwards. His brother Danny is out there this afternoon, and he has pulled to within 2 strokes of the lead. Larry Nelson, extremely dangerous golfer. He has been getting better each day. And of course, there is Tom Watson. You do not have to say anything more than there is Tom Watson, lurking here at the Augusta National, just waiting to put on that final charge. Now, let's send you out to the 7th hole.
This is a 360-yard par 4. Straightaway hole, plateau green. That's Fred Couples putting for a birdie, and they have been very elusive to Fred today. He started with 2 pars and then bogeyed the 3rd hole, double bogeyed the 4th, and now we'll have to putt for par here at the 7th hole. It's a hole that players don't very often use the driver from the tee. They lay back from this plateau green, which is surrounded by 5 bunkers, and such is the nature of the undulations that the ball can very easily pull back off the putting surface when hit to the green up above the fairway with a short iron. Larry Nelson, continuing his rich vein of form, birdied the 1st hole in the 3rd and is now 7 under par to the 5th hole.
And Tom Kite, the leader.
Second shot, 435-yard, par 4, dog leg left. Very large undulating green, as you'll see. And watch this. Look out. Roll back.
Stop, please.
That will roll all the way back to the front. A bunker guards the tee shot on the left, swinging wide now from where Mark is hitting. He must get a lot of height and to the back of the green. Anything in front will roll back.
That ball belongs to Mark Lai.
And way left and down the hill, leaving himself an exceptionally difficult little pitch up the hill. There you see what he's faced with. Has to come over the bunker. Not much green to work with. It would be almost impossible to ever stop it short of the hole.
Let's go over to 6.
On the tee at 6, this is Ben Crenshaw, par 3, playing today at 175 yards. It's an elevated tee, and the tee is up today. The pin is cut in the upper right-hand corner of the rather large green on a plateau. And if you are 20 to 25 feet below that pin, as you look back from behind the green, the gallery nestled below the tee, and the twosome of Ben Crenshaw and Nick Faldo. Ben Crenshaw just a stroke back of his former Texas teammate, Tom Kite. And don't you imagine when they were adolescents in Austin, they fantasized about someday going head-to-head in the final round of the Masters. Well, the day has arrived. That'll roll back some, but just about pin high. And let's go back to 7.
And this is Larry Nelson. A disappointing moment for him. Remaining at 7 under par. Back to the 6th.
And the young man who quietly yesterday crept up on the leaderboard, Nick Faldo. Acknowledged as one of the better putters in the European circuit, has chosen to participate full-time on the American Tour now. Again, that tee is probably 50 to 75 feet above the green. Common choice at 175 yards, 5 or 6 irons. And an absence of wind today. Now, Ken, he's got problems there, does he not?
You're looking at probably one of the toughest putts on the golf course to get the ball close to. That rises up about 6 to 7 feet from above where he is, and to get the speed and distance is absolutely phenomenal if you can.
Now you can see how it rolled back down. And it's just on the fringe. Let's go back to 5.
And again, it's a par 4. Mark Lai trying to figure things out. It's 450 yards in length, but that's not the problem at the moment.
I think what he's discussing, Pat, is that he missed the yardage from the fairway. He did not want to get that far behind the hole or to the left, and I think he didn't think he had that much to go. And now where he is, and you see the pitch shot over the bunker, pin tucked in tightly, and Kite will play first. Up the hill. Unless you've been out to that green and seen this, you will absolutely know how difficult that was and how good a putt that was. You can see that he's happy with it to get down in 2.
That's one we ought to remember, Kenny.
But you talk about Tom Kite's was really nothing when you compare it to Lai's.
Over to 6. 7, sorry.
This is David Graham and Tom Watson. Watson perfectly placed. Just a short iron to the plateau green. But that will pull back right off the putting surface and down the hill. And there you see, in the center of your screen, the golf ball between the bunkers in that little narrow corridor. He may have a little difficulty with his stance, Watson, for his 3rd shot. It's been an up and down round for him. Bogeyed the 1st, birdied the 2nd, birdied the 4th, bogeyed the 5th. It's been not a very satisfactory bid so far. To the 5th.
And Mark Lai.
Well, that happens in trying to get it too close. And now he was on tape, and that was his 4th shot. And now looking face to face at double bogey. It's a hole that when the pin is to the left side of the green, that the place to bail out if you have to anything is to right and a little bit past. You've got more green to work with. Where he missed it is probably the most difficult place you can, Pat.
Back to 6.
Nick Faldo has to come up over that huge rise. Well, he chipped it and chipped it nicely. Excellent shot by Nick Faldo. See that unusual nature of Augusta, where the gallery nestles between the green and the tee, and they hear the sound of the tee shots and then watch to see them land on the green. And let's go back to 5.
And Mark Lai.
This for bogey on his 435-yard par 4, very difficult par 4 on the front side. And
has to be very, very frustrating and discouraging and disappointing to Mark Lai.
Mark, who bogeyed the 12th hole after hitting it on the green yesterday and going back out this morning, 3-putted the 12th. He made double bogey at 16, as he did on 9, which was yesterday. And now faced with another double bogey. He's made 3 double bogeys and not put the ball in the water.
That's amazing.
But of all places that he had to miss it, of course, he missed the shot in the bunker, but he was only maybe 3 feet from absolutely playing a perfect shot. But that's the gamble you have to take if you expect to win.
Here's the guy with the heat right now. Kite for par. To 6.
And Ben Crenshaw for birdie and a tie for the lead. Great putt, however, from 30 feet for Crenshaw, and he stays one back as he heads to the 7th tee. Both Ben and Tom Kite, the former Texas teammates, looking for their first major championship, as is Nick Faldo. Par 3 for Nick Faldo, and he remains at 5 under par, 4 back of Tom Kite. And next up on the tee, the final twosome of the day, Tom Kite, the leader, and Mark Lye trying to shake the effects of that double bogey. Let's go to 7 in the meantime.
Tom Watson over his third shot here, pitching up to the green. And that was very nicely performed, leaving himself a little uphill putt for par to remain at 6 under. His partner David Graham double bogeyed the first hole, of course, birdied the second, but bogeyed the 5th and is now 5 under. Watson electing to get it all over with. And this is how the leaderboard looks now, and the double figures have disappeared. They're all coming back to the golf course. And my goodness me, there's at least a dozen players in with a very fair chance of winning the coveted green jacket. Tom Watson for par at the 7th hole. It's a very resolute stroke. Back to the 6th.
Tee shot of Tom Kite. Well, he is on the wrong side of the green, and Ken Venturi, he's really got some work now.
That's one place over there where it'll roll. I think that's the most difficult pin placement. They have enlarged that in years by. It used to be about half that size and more difficult to get close to.
Well, again, the definition of the green is somewhat negated by our television cameras, but the pin is up on the plateau, and the Kite will have to come up on that rise, as did Nick Faldo. Now, Mark Lye. They have accompanying putts from the left side of the green. We are in the final round of the Masters from Augusta. Tom Kite from Austin, Texas, with a one-stroke lead over Ben Crenshaw from Austin, Texas, followed by Larry Nelson, David Edwards, Gil Morgan, and Tom Watson.
Our defending Masters champion, Seve Ballesteros, is with us. He, of course, did not make the cut, but he will be here to award the green jacket following the final round today. Seve, on our leaderboard, who do you like now? Who would you pick to win this tournament?
Well, it's very difficult. So many players right there and very few strokes. And Kite is a tough competitor. Crenshaw is a good putter, and Watson has very good experience. He's a champion. Larry Nelson looks to me the one who really is the most consistent. He's very cool. Is what you need on this course. And it's really tough to pick up one, but I will pick up Larry Nelson.
All right, Seve. Let's go out to the 7th.
That's a very interesting choice. But this is Nick Faldo from England, who is 2 over par for the day and needs to get something going very quickly. You're looking at the 360-yard par 4, surrounded by 5 bunkers, a very shallow target with fierce undulations on that green, downwards from back to the front. And that's a shot of about 125 yards. And it is just, as has happened to Tom Watson just a few moments before, it has pulled away back off the plateau. So another problem for Nick Faldo, who seems to be passing quietly out of contention. His partner, Ben Crenshaw. But we'll go to the 6th hole.
And the putt of Mark Lai, who is seeing his dream slip away. But an excellent effort from some 40 feet away. And let's go back to 7.
Ben Crenshaw with an obvious problem, consulting the rules committee people out there. As you can see, this is a very narrow hole. He seems to be so loose.
Hole over here if you want it, Ben.
Well, he's obviously taking a drop of some kind, and the club to use, of course, which gives you the best advantage, is the longest in your bag, the driver.
Somewhere in there? That's okay.
Back to the 6th.
And Tom Kite will be content to get within 2 feet. And doesn't quite. Young man with such a great, great history in the Masters, despite having never worn the green jacket. Kenny, I'm interested. You know, they say his game is not long enough for Augusta, and yet he has had that brilliant effort the last decade or so.
Well, he's gone home and of late and worked on getting length. He's lengthened his swing, as you can see, and at times he has been quite long here, which I've been very surprised, but you need length, and he is adequate. He'll be able to play it.
And he still has the one-shot edge over Ben Crenshaw through the 6th hole. Now Mark Lai from Napa, California. And let's go to 7.
Well, Ben Crenshaw took his drop, and he didn't get a good one either. As you can see, that's rather down in the dirt. The pines block his progress. He's going to have to cut the ball, I suppose.
You hit right. Go, beautiful shot. Great shot.
Is that any good? That is some tremendous golf shot by Ben Crenshaw. And tonight he may be relishing that one over dinner. He's just one behind the pace being set by Tom Kite. That is Tom Kite. His tee shot at the 7th hole, 360 yards, straightaway par 4, and that could not have been placed more perfectly had he walked out there and dropped it. It's a dauntingly narrow little villain, this hole. Mark Lai now has really got to regroup. That adrenaline that has been pumping at such an alarming rate through his system seems to be leaving him a little. Up at the green, Nick Faldo. Oh dear. Now that really signals that his game is falling apart. To the 12th.
For the tee shot of the young man very quietly moving up the leaderboard, David Edwards, now at 6 under par. David with a 6-iron to a pin cut dangerously close to the right side and near the water. An excellent shot. Very happy to have it right there. Andy Bean next to play. Andy 2 over par on his round today. 1 under par for the tournament. Andy, who goes left to right, might like this pin. Put it right at the flag, but 1/2 club too much. Kenny, this pin placement, what do you do if you're a player?
Well, you have several choices. That's a place that you don't want to fool with. If you have to make a move and get after it, you will, but play for the center of the green as we go to 7.
And Nick Faldo now trying to, oh dear me. That is another sad bogey for the Britisher, which sinks him to 3 over par for the day and 4 under par for the tournament. 5 off the pace to 16.
And Jack Nicklaus, who's 1 under. Pin today cut hard left. Hole playing at 170 yards, and that's a 5-iron. Oh, and what a good shot. Now just look at that pin, only 7.5 feet from the edge of the green and dangerously near to the water. Fine shot there from Jack Nicklaus. And we go back to the 7th.
Where Ben Crenshaw is plumb bobbing with this birdie putt, get him into a tie for the lead with Tom Kite, who will by this time be waiting in the fairway behind his the great rival of his youth. There he is, Tom Kyte, who's dead center. So yet another dramatic duel between these two young Texans. This is a putt that goes a little to Crenshaw's left, and it's quite a strong uphill section. Well, Kite was quite unconcerned, as you can see by his rear view. And Ben Crenshaw remains at 8 under par, and a great opportunity set up by that superb second shot has been squandered. He's got to get that putter working. Back in the fairway. Mark Lai, 2 over for his round today. And now only 6 under par and 3 behind. Desperately needs to get back on track with a birdie. This is a shot of in the region of 130 yards. Well, that's stayed down quietly, and we'll have a look at where Kite's very fine tee shot went. You see the nature of the hole, extremely narrow, and then a second shot to a green that is set on a plateau, and is so very easy to make a costly error here by drawing the ball back off the putting surface, as you've seen in the last few minutes. That's the thing really to guard against. David Edwards has just made par at the 12th hole to remain 6 under, just 3 behind. Tom Kite. Looking as if might have pushed it a little, but that's an excellent shot, because he put it past the hole to make sure that he would not screw back off the green. The leader by 1, but the plot thickens. There are so many players now within 3 and 4 shots of the lead that it would be anybody's guess. Back to the 12th.
For the second shot of Andy Bean, he's chosen a putter, taking the pin out. Obviously a shot he thinks he can make. Good effort as we go back to 8.
David Graham, this will be his 3rd shot to this 535-yard par 5. It goes uphill to a bunkerless green, which is surrounded by large mounds. Very deep green from front to back, about 125 feet or so, and the pin set on the very top. Graham currently at 5 under par for the tournament. Currently 4 shots off the pace being set by Tom Kite. And David is 2 over for his round today.
Wind kicks up occasionally, and it's in the face of the players here on 8, so this is not a birdie hole. That's where Tom Watson is in 2 in this par 5. The wind stops occasionally, and of course they get the big distance. But on the chart, this has been one of the easier holes all week. It is rated 17th in degree of difficulty among the 18 here at the Augusta National. Tom Watson still not that close, but not that far away. I mean, he has won this tournament twice, in 77 and in 81. Since his first professional appearance here, he is tied for second twice and had 3 other finishes in the top 10 in addition to those victories. And of course, as you're well aware, he has had some difficulties. He's struggled with his game. He's a bit inconsistent this week, but he seems to be picking up steam as the week goes on. He's birdied this hole twice in 3 days. And after opening with a 74, had a 67 on Friday and a 69 in the 3rd round. Very large gallery surrounding this par 5, completely encircling it. This green, I would think, Ken Venturi, be reachable really only for the real big hitters, wouldn't it?
Well, the first thing you have to guard against is the bunker in the fairway, which is a very difficult hole. It's 262 yards to carry it.
Meanwhile, back at 7.
Tom Kyte over his birdie putt. A little downhill across the slope, right to left break. And par coming up. So Tom Kyte retains his narrow advantage as we go to the 16th.
Jack Nicklaus, 5 times winner, this for 2. Oh, nicely read. So Jack Nicklaus goes to 2 under par. That's 2 under for today. Rounds of 73, 73, and 70. Back to the 7th.
And Mark Clyde does a little bit of gardening. Desperately needs a birdie to regain a little momentum and come back again at Tom Kyte, his partner now for the 2nd day in succession. A tough man to play with, Tom Kyte, so consistent and these days very aggressive. There you see the cross-handed putting style of Mark Lai. 3 behind, this for a birdie. Well, I have to say, in all fairness, that was not the boldest of efforts, and he knows it. To the 9th.
Larry Nelson. Second shot.
Pin in the back left side, and watch this. And Larry Nelson will have that putt to go 8 under for the tournament, 3 under for the front 9, Pat.
As he says, he loves to play in Georgia. That's where he is. We go to 8.
That's a birdie opportunity. And there it is. Tom Watson is now within 2 of the lead and in red figures for the day. 1 under for the day, back to 9.
Fred Couples.
Drove to the bottom of the hill, very large drive pitching wedge. Has to be careful this doesn't come back. Oh.
Look out.
Hit. Oh, look at this. He will have to replace his ball. Larry Nelson will have to put it back as close as possible, and the officials will be there to inform him where it is.
Back to 8.
David Graham for birdie. I think he got a little help from Watson. They had almost identical putts, and Graham goes to 6 under, 3 off the lead. Man from Australia, now lives in Dallas, Texas. Hanging in there very nicely, despite some inconsistency in his play so far this week. Let's move ahead to the 9th.
Ken Venturi, now the discussion goes on about what you mentioned a minute ago.
If they could look at the replay of that, we could almost tell them, we can't tell the official, but we could almost tell them exactly where the ball was if you show where that ball was hit and how far it's back.
Couples really got a break, didn't he?
Oh, yes, he was moving back fast, Pat.
He would have been maybe off the front of the green.
Could possibly, because with all that spin.
Now the ruling.
Yes, he says, I think I was that close. If you could overlay that where he's looking, you could put the ball back on and see where we had it.
It's amazing, Ken, how many things can happen on the golf course.
We were there a year ago. I was there, and I was standing at 9, and Watson was playing, and I said, you know, that ball could be hit by the other ball, and I was looking right at it, and I happened to be there, and it asked me, and I said, this is where it was, and I was almost to the inch where I was watching it.
Right there. Right there. Right there, Larry.
As I said before, Larry Nelson likes to play in Georgia because he has a lot of friends around, and they were all cheering in the background.
They can't be exact, but I think they've come pretty close.
Well, let's give them an idea if we can.
All right. There's where the ball was. And we'll superimpose it.
And those ghosts aren't really ghosts. Here's what happened.
We'll do that when he places the ball back there, Pat.
We'll try it again.
I think they came pretty close there. I think they're almost
so
on the
too.
nickel there. Couples who started the day at 5 under went all the way back to 2 under. Birdie the 8th to get to 3 under again, and this will be for Birdie, but he will go out in 37 if he makes this putt. How close can you get?
That's as close as you can get.
And Larry Nelson has this for to go 8 under, and pretty nice position.
Mm-hmm.
And there's where he replaced the ball too. After it, but you must replace it as near as possible. This is about a left center.
Let's look at that, where they placed it again.
Put the hole on it. How about this?
Pretty close.
Almost. Right, maybe half an inch.
Mm-hmm.
Very well done. And very well done. Larry Nelson goes to 8 under. Out in 33.
Remarkable, really. Kite still leads at -9. Nelson now has moved into a tie for second place with Crenshaw.
Let's update you with the leaderboard now. Tom Kite, of course, he holds that 1 stroke advantage right now on Larry Nelson and Ben Crenshaw. Tom Watson is 2 shots behind the leader, and there we see Dave Edwards and Gil Morgan. They have had spectacular rounds here this afternoon. Now, the rest of it shows just how this field is bunching up, and obviously, we could be headed for a playoff here at this Masters this afternoon. And there is Calvin Peete, who started off with a 79, and suddenly he is 3 under. Tom Weiskopf has joined Seve Ballesteros and myself. Tom, you shot a 72 out there this afternoon, +3 for the tournament. For our leaders, what awaits them on the back 9 in terms of pin placements and wind?
Well, Brent, I feel that the pin placements on the backside are all difficult. The only 2 accessible pin placements that afford birdies, I feel, are 16 and 18. The rest of them really force you to gamble or force you to play safe. You can run into a lot of trouble if you make the wrong choice.
Seve, how difficult is it for you to sit through these 2 days and not be able to play the final 2 rounds?
Well, it's very tough. I really have a good experience because the same thing happened to me in 1980. I missed the cut in 1981. So that's a repeat, and I hope maybe one year I can win again and be able to make the cut at least.
All right, Seve. Right now, let's take you out to the 8th.
Ben Crenshaw, third shot here to the par 5. He's 1 off the lead. Pin is just 12 feet from the back edge. He's looking at a birdie opportunity there that could move him into a tie with Tom Kite. To 13.
Ronnie Black, this for par. He is 4 under for the tournament. And there's a name with which you perhaps are not familiar, but Ronnie Black, having an outstanding Masters tournament, is only 5 back. He's playing with the Sao Aoki, who just double bogeyed the hole, and David Edwards, who got off to a great start this morning with birdies at 1, 2, 3, and 7. Suffered his only bogey at the 10th hole and has parred 11 and 12. Edwards currently at 6 under. We will see a few more woods, fairway woods today with a second shot if they choose to go for the green, because the pin is cut some 35 to 40 yards from the front edge. It's well back and in a ticklishly difficult position. Not too much. If it goes down into the swale, it's trouble, and that is exactly where he is. Let's go to 9.
Tom Watson.
Oh, lucky that stayed.
Back to 8.
This will be a big putt upcoming here for Crenshaw. It can move him into a tie for the lead with Tom Kite. The battle of Texans continues for the top spot, and Crenshaw hoping that 13 will be his lucky number in his 13th appearance at the Augusta National. He was telling us the other day it's about time a Texan won this again. The last time a Texan won it was in 1971 when Charlie Cootie came through. In the last 35 years there have been 10 Texans who have captured the green coat. Yes, sir. Crenshaw continues to come on strong. 2 under par for his round today. Now 9 under for the tournament and tied with Tom Kite. And we go to the 9th.
David Graham for birdie.
Come on.
Stay up.
Come on.
Low and a little short. Just that left for par. Greens today are soft, they're fast, but putting very, very true. I think the wind today, Pat, is probably the biggest factor they've had in 4 days.
I think it's picked up. Certainly it's more substantial than it's been in any of the previous rounds.
Watson, after making birdie at number 8, about 30, 35 feet. This is for birdie uphill. And like so many years, Pat, it is folding down and right into the back 9, as always.
Always seems to. Well, you heard what Tom Weiskopf said a minute ago. He felt that really with the pin placements, there are only 2 holes that are realistic birdies on the back 9.
But that's what makes it so enticing, is because you can gamble or you can play safe, and you do what you have to do.
And when you sit and look.
Look out. That almost hit his caddy's foot. That almost got his foot. That's as close as I wanted to see a ball come to a player. Watson thought he made it. He began walking, and so did his caddy. But if we'll play that back, you'll see how close that ball comes to his foot.
Just goes
That
to show
would have
you.
been 2 shots.
Goes to show you that caddies are athletes too.
Cost Byron Nelson the Open once when his caddy came under the ropes and tripped and kicked the ball. Par for Watson as he makes the turn in 1 under par, 7 under for the tournament, and 2 shots behind Tom Kite and 2 shots behind Ben Crenshaw.
This, of course, is David Graham. Let's go back and look at that again.
Watch this. This is, I was looking back at the green. Pretty good step.
Quick feet. David Graham. Par. Done.
Graham goes out in 37. The double bogey at number 1 is what hurt him, Pat.
Back to 8.
Final group of the day approaching the par 5. Mark Lai. His third shot. This hole is guarded on each side by mounds. Look at this. You'll have that much for birdie. And that'll put him back to 7 under and 2 off the pace. A bit earlier, Tom Kite with his third shot. And Kite also in position to birdie this hole. He's birdied it 2 of the first 3 days. Let's go to 10.
There you see Larry Nelson's drive. He's in the left rough. Interesting thing is happening here. The little pine burrs that grow on the pine trees and fall on the greens, they have a man out there now with a blower cleaning the green. And Larry has been waiting so far for 4 minutes after making a birdie on 9. These kinds of delays you really don't want, do you, Ken Venturi?
No, you don't, Murph, because he's got some momentum going. He is really going strong. He went to turn in 33, made a beautiful birdie at 9, and that's the time when I know, and I'm sure you know, you like to keep going and moving.
That's right, but they're doing the right thing because it takes an awful long time to throw all those little pieces of burr off. And we'll go to 8.
Tom Kite first with the birdie chance to break the tie between he and Crenshaw. There's one that went out the window. So he'll par 8 for the second time in 4 days. Kite normally comes up with very strong finishing rounds here at the Augusta National. It's been the case down through the years. And he's had his opportunity to win this tournament. In fact, back in '79. He was tied for the lead going to the 16th. So a par keeps him at 9 under. And tied for the top spot. Mark Lai been struggling a bit after birding the first hole. Had that disastrous double bogey. Mark qualified by winning at Boston last year, and this is his first appearance at the Augusta National. As you may be aware, Fuzzy Zeller is the only player in the history of this tournament, which stretches back 50 years, who's ever won it in his first try. So much pressure and so much just getting to know the golf course. This would be his third birdie in 4 days at 8. So don't count him out yet. Young man from Tallahassee is 2 shots off the lead. That'll move him into a tie for 4th place with Tom Watson as we move ahead to 9.
9th hole, par 4, difficult one. Nick Faldo and Ben Crenshaw. Faldo didn't really accomplish that much off the tee, Kenny.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he caught a little bit of the trees, but he'll have to hit a kind of a sweeping hook with the pin where it is.
While we wait, we go to 10.
Larry Nelson set to play now from about 200 yards, maybe 205. You can see Larry's in the light rough. The pin is tucked behind those pine trees that are in front of him on the far back left-hand corner, some 80 feet on this green. Definitely not a birdie hole today. See Larry play a nice low draw. Just not quite far enough. It's pitched right into the front of the green, which slopes severely down to the golfers, and he'll have a difficult chip shot coming up. And we'll go to 9.
Ready is Crenshaw.
One thing he has to avoid is being a little too much left. He has to get it behind the hole, and too much spin on it will bring it back again. This is the green soft. That's what it's apt to do. Got it good and solid. Here, come on.
Oh, what a shot.
That is about as nice as you could play the shot.
Oh, what a shot. Crenshaw and Kite tied for the lead at -9. Nelson is 8. Watson is 7. So is Lai. David there 6. It heads toward a great finish.
Ben Crenshaw is one of the most popular golfers on the tour. If you were to ask the pros who would be your sentimental choice, it is entirely possible that they would vote almost unanimously in favor of the quiet Texan with the superb putting touch. He was a runner-up last year. He is in search of his first Masters championship. And of course, as Frank Gleber and Vern Lundquist have told you, it is indeed time for a Texan to win it, according to Ben Crenshaw himself. So far on the back nines, he has been 3 under par through the first 3 rounds. And now he is -9, and of course he is our co-leader along with Tom Kyte. Tommy, what is the mood of the players now? What stance should they take mentally as they come in now to the stretch of this Masters?
Well, they all know what it lies ahead in the back nine. It's a game of chance or it's a game of percentage. They will dictate who will win, themselves or somebody else by their mistakes or somebody else's mistakes. It will be a game of patience on certain holes, and then it'll be a game of aggression. It'll shoot for the pin now, and I think they'll just hold back and watch each other till they get to the birdie holes, which will be really 13, 15, 16, and 18.
How do you keep your nerves under control at this point?
Well, they're experienced. You know, they've been there before. Ben's been there many times. Their nerves are just attuned to the daily and weekly. All those tournaments they've played previous are just a stepping stone to this tournament, Brent.
All right, let's go back to the 9th.
9th hole, again, it's a par 4 and most difficult. 435 yards in length, and that sloping green, and just to keep the ball on the green with your second shot is an accomplishment.
Faldo putting downhill, listening to the applause of Jack Nicklaus and Hale Irwin coming up 18. And you can see how fast that putt is. A little tentative, low to the left. Faldo, who is moving slowly backwards, started at 7 under. And
as Ken Venturi said, the applause you heard was over at 18, which is not far away for Jack Nicklaus and Hale Irwin. Of course, back at 9, which is, what, 60 yards away? No more, certainly.
60 yards away is a man that has won 5 Masters, and here's a man looking for his first. Great thing about here is I don't think they ever forget their champions. Some come and play, and some come and don't play, but I'm sure this man right here is lots going through his mind.
He would like to come back many times and play, I'm sure. This putt he has, although you look at the length and survey it, is a putt that, I guess, speed dictates more than anything else. You got to read the green, obviously, but you really can't charge it.
No, he's in a position here that I feel that he's got a good chance to make it with his stroke and where he watched Faldo's break. But there are certain positions you've got to accept the fact that if you miss it, you've got to be going slow, and there are other putts that you can charge. So there's a time to go for it and a time not.
Judgment and courage would, I suppose, be the two categories.
Move to his left. And as you said, Pat, speed dictates the putt. Kite in the fairway, even though at number 7 he didn't have to watch, and he did not have to watch there because he knows that Crenshaw was putting, and the roar itself will tell you that he made it.
To 10.
Larry Nelson for par. This is a treacherous putt. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Larry, you remember, missed the green in front. Hit the chip up in the air and it stuck. He was very, very surprised. You could see how fast that putt was. You certainly wouldn't expect the chip to stick. And we'll go to 9. Sorry, we'll stay here and watch Fred Couples, who hit a terrific chip shot. Fred missed the green to the left and has this for par. You saw Larry Nelson's ball just crawl, and fall in on the right edge. It's a very, very slight right to left putt. Tom Watson waits back on the hill. And a good par. And we'll go to 9.
And Kite.
Kite faced with almost the same shot that Ben Crenshaw had coming into 9. In perfect position, has to take it just over the corner of the bunker.
Wall ball.
That won't come back. That didn't have enough stuff. It wasn't close enough, Pat, on the way to get a lot of juice on it because the club was somewhere around 7 or 8.
With line.
Now here's a man that puts a lot of stuff on it from where he is. Very nice. Very well done. You know, Pat, as we go to 10 first.
For David Graham's second shot from 190 yards, a 4-iron. A nice shot. With about a 30, 35-foot putt remaining. Tom Watson missed the green to the right. He has a... There you see the swing. You see the ball take off out to the bunker. I know Tom was trying to play a draw off the side of that hill. Ball did not draw like he wanted to, and there you see the ball stopping. He has a very, very quick little chip left. Back on the tee, Ben Crenshaw, our new leader. It's a good hole for Ben. Dogleg left, down into the valley. The tee sits high atop the hill. Ben likes to play the ball from right to left. The wind is slightly in their face today.
Can you just hold it forward, please? Would you hold it right there, please?
A little regroup now, Ben.
Thank you.
Ken Venturi, Ben looks very confident to me.
Well, I'm sure he has a definite game plan. He's been here enough, and he knows where the die is cast. It's ready to go, and he knows what he has to do.
Well, that looked to be a good swing. And it is a good drive right in the center and rolling down the hill. Leave Ben approximately a 4-iron into this green.
Can you hold still there, please? 4, please. 4, please.
Nick Faldo. Nick's having a rough day today.
4, please.
It's a little.
Crenshaw's swing takes it back in one piece, perfect balance. Look at the way he has his weight on the inside of his feet, takes it back one piece, turns, watch the shoulder turn. He overswings just a little bit, but watch the delay of how nice it moves down. Takes his left heel off the ground, sets it there, and then waits for it now. Just plants the left side. Look at the left hip driving through. Look at staying down, right shoulder bringing up the chin. His tempo, his balance is in great form today. Excellent.
And back at 9, here's Tom Kite.
For birdie. You know, Pat, they've talked of Kite and his great rounds. He has had some of the most phenomenal finishing rounds, but we must remember one thing. He was never in the lead like he is today.
First time ever
Kite
beginning the last round. He's been in the lead.
It's a lot easier to shoot lower rounds coming from behind than it is to go out there and lead it.
Back to 10.
For the chip shot of Tom Watson. He'll just want to loft this ball just on the green. There you see the touch. Slow now. Slow now. Slow. Isn't that something? That ball continued to roll. It's very nearly 5 feet past the hole. Tom was very aggressive on that chip. He was going right for the hole. We'll go to 9.
Mark Lai.
Lai, who had the double bogey at 5, as you remember, started 8 under at 7. This could put him right in the midst.
Look out.
Look it, he's got it. And Mark Lai is back. Mark Lai in the disaster of some holes in the front 9, the bogey at 3, double bogey at 5, birdies 9 and 8 under, 2 behind Crenshaw, and don't count him out, Pat.
Tell you what, that shows some courage, what he's done.
And he's got it. I like Mark. He's a good boy, and I'll tell you what, he's held his composure beautifully.
2-11.
Larry Nelson back up on top of the hill here at 11, preparing to play his second. The pin, as you can see, cut far back left, arguably the most difficult pin placement. Larry nearly 200 yards from the flag. A man whose iron play is never in question. And you see why. Absolutely marvelous shot by Nelson. Seve Ballesteros must have known something. Fred Couples next to play. Fred at 2 over par today, 3 under for the tournament. But a lot of birdie holes left on this back 9, as Tom Weiskopf has mentioned. Couples with a 6-iron. Starts it out to the right. Brings it back in nicely and safely on. Tom, how big a factor is length on the back 9 in terms of making birdies?
Today it is the tremendous advantage to have because 13 or 15 are playing into the wind. Length off the tee like Fred Couples has, he can reach those par 5s. Larry Nelson, he can't. And he has to hit his best. He has to hug Rays Creek on the left at 13. He has to hit his 2 best at 15 to even have a chance to get there, where Fred can hit an iron to both greens. But what a courageous shot he played there at number 11. Let's go back to number 10 though first.
Putt of Tom Watson for par. This putt has been missed on the right, and again, I'm sorry to say, bogey for Tom. Back to 11.
Larry Nelson acknowledging the warm applause of the people here in Augusta. Interesting, when he won the U.S. Open last summer, he opened with a 75. Here, the first round at Augusta, he opens with a 76. While it might bother some players to have a bad first round, not Larry. Let's go back to 10.
And Nick Faldo is off to the right on the top of the hill. This hole is playing a bear today. We have not had one birdie on this hole. In 1983, it was the most difficult hole at the Augusta. The wind is in the player's face. It's playing very long, and the pin position is frightening on the back left.
Done it again and again and again.
Oh, he just flew it in the gallery and it bounced right out into the bunker, so that's somewhat of a break. Nick is having a bad day today and off balance. Ben Crenshaw from about 195 yards. I would guess Ben would probably be hitting 4-iron. Probably feels a little breeze. Very careful not to go over this green. The pin in the top back left of the green.
Get up. Get up.
Well, you heard Ben say get up, and he was right. It's about 40 feet short and some 40 feet to the right of the hole. And we'll test even Ben Crenshaw's putting ability from down there. We'll go back to 11.
Couples from 40 feet for his birdie 3. Ooh, very nice. Nelson might learn something from that. So many players have come up short from there, as Fred has just done. I don't think we've seen a better shot than Nelson's here in terms of getting the ball close to the flag. By his own admission, Larry is not a good putter, but let's go back to 10.
Up on top of the hill, Mark Lai set to drive.
Run it out, baby.
Following a good birdie. He said, run it out, baby. He knows he hit it down in the area of the fairway where she can run down the hill. And it has, and that's a good position for Mark to approach this green down the left-hand side. Mark seems to be a bit more steamed up now after a good birdie there on 9. Tom Kite. That look would seem to indicate he's left it a little right.
Bounce it all, Mike? Just a little bounce.
He's asking a caddy, did it bounce down the hill? We'll go to 11.
To move within 1 stroke of the lead. He knew it when he hit it. Larry Nelson. 4 under par for the day, 9 under par for the tournament. It gets tight as the back 9 starts here at Augusta. Ben Crenshaw at 10 under par has a 2-stroke lead, 1-stroke lead over Nelson and Kite.
Larry Nelson, perhaps he is not appreciated enough out of Marietta, Georgia, which is north of Atlanta. And Tom, why don't folks appreciate Nelson's game a little bit more?
He has our respect. He's a classic player.
All right, let's go out to the 12th.
Possibly the most important shot on the back nine for any player. The dangerous 12th. Nelson with a 6-iron. I doubt if he'd fired at the flag. The center of the green. Would be a good shot. Hurry, hurry, hurry. That says it all.
That pin in that situation.
No, I think what happened, he hit such a great shot at 11. He's so confident, things are going his way. You feel like, boy, I can fire that ball at that pin again. And that's what happens. You just miss it. There it is.
Ben Crenshaw has done his survey here from about 60 feet. This putt will break from his right to his left. Slow now. Oh, great putt. That's one of the greatest putts I've ever seen. Of course, one of the greatest putters I've ever seen, too. Ben says, let me get off this green, put my putter in the bag. It's burning my hand. It's so hot. Boy, the crowd loves that, and well, they should. Ken Venturi, that is one of the great, great putts I've seen in golf right there.
That really was, Murph. But there's one thing now you have to watch, that he doesn't get too high on that. He has to keep his composure. You can't let something like that get you out of your tempo and out of what you've been building into. You can't let the peaks and valleys affect you.
Well, he could probably stick his finger in his mouth and push his heart back down where it's supposed to be, I'll tell you that. He was excited. Nick Faldo for his par. Nick needs to make a par to get a little head thinking going here. He's had a rough day. Oh, some days are like that, Nick. Just no fun at all. So Crenshaw, watch this putt one more time. You can see how far out to the right he played the putt. Then it starts to break back down the hill. And where did it go? We'll go back to 11.
Second shot of Watson. Here at 11, starts it out to the right. Hits a great shot right over the top of the flag. Back to 10.
And you can see that Tom Kyte is way back to the right up on the hill. I think that Tom has 230, maybe 240 yards left to this green. I think he'll be pushed to get a 3-wood to the green, as a matter of fact, because the wind is in his face. This is an important shot for Tom Kyte right here. And I'm sure Ben Crenshaw's birdie right before him.
Bob, it's amazing.
Not what he wanted to see. Yes, Ken.
It's amazing how roles can change so fast here. From few holes back, he was the aggressor, and now he has to catch Crenshaw.
Now, this definitely is a center of the green shot with a 3-wood. It looks to be going a little left.
Stop.
He's got it on the front fringe, though. I believe that to be a pretty good shot. Just about 3 feet off the green. We'll go back to 12.
Larry Nelson has moved into position well short of the hazard in an attempt to have a full wedge shot to the 12th as we go back to 10.
For Mark Ly's second shot from 205 yards. Laid out low to the right, it's drawing in. Just pitched right short and into that bank, and it just won't bounce on the green from there. So we have 2 chip shots left here by Tom Kyte and Mark Ly, following Ben Crenshaw's fabulous putt from the very front edge of this 10th hole.
Third shot of Nelson here at 12. This from about 100 yards. Watch this. Oh, he spun the ball back into the front bunker. Nelson has to get it up and down for double bogey. Back to you, Brent.
All right, Steve, you know, Tom Weiskopf is the same height as Mark Lai, and he has been hitting the ball so well here. Perhaps you can analyze his swing for us, Tom.
Okay, we'll look at Mark at the 10th. A wide stance, a little lag in his swing. He started his hands and his body first. The club remains. Takes it away very low, a very wide arc. Gets the hands up high, real high above his shoulders. Not a long swing, though, somewhat restricted at 3/4. And then a tremendous drive with the lower part of his body. And that whip, that delay, right there. Now, see that drive with the left side, clearing out of the way, driving from the inside and accelerating the club low and up high. Good finish, good swing.
And what a courageous performance he has given us here in this Masters this year. His first one at the age of 31. Fired that 66 in the second round, and he is still just 3 strokes off the lead when everyone thought he was going to wilt. But he has not, has he?
He has a chance still, too, Brent. There's a lot of golf out there, a lot of tough shots to be played.
All right, let's go back out to the 10th now, and Bob Murphy. Murph?
Mark has walked up on the green, checked out the roll. He's chipping with a 7-iron. You see how much he started out to the right. This is a good chip. It hit one of those little pine burrs. That's unfortunate. It actually hit one of those little pine burrs and stopped. Otherwise, that was very close to going in. And we'll go to 12.
For the problems of Nelson once again. This is 4th shot. Lovely. Lovely shot by Nelson. Has that remaining for double bogey 5 as we go back to 10.
Tom Kite has a tough chip shot here. You can see the determination in his face, no doubt. He knows he wants to put it in that 2-foot circle, which we try to do on putts of this length and holes that are cut with this difficulty. Slow. Oh, look at that thing go left. Oh, stop. Tom can't believe it. He just didn't get the ball high enough on the initial chip. He has a difficult putt left. That's the one that Tom Watson missed just a moment ago, you remember. This hole is playing very, very tough today. We'll go to 11.
Watson for par. It remains at 6 under. David Graham playing with him, also 6 under. Amen corner taking its toll once again. Back to 10.
Tom Kite for par. This is the putt that I said earlier the players are missing on the right-hand side. And it is deceptive. I was down close to the green earlier watching some of the players putt, so I could give you at home an idea of what they're facing.
Bob, I don't believe that Tom Kite at this point can afford to give Crenshaw a 3-shot lead.
I certainly agree with that.
Let's go to 12.
The disappointment in Larry Nelson as he walks up to the 13th tee, making 5 as we go back to 10.
Tom is ready. Oh, big swing there. Big swing for Crenshaw. I think if Tom hits that putt a little firmer, he makes it, but a tough putt. And we'll go to 11.
Well back in the fairway, nearly 200 yards away, Crenshaw set to play. In the past, a much maligned swing However, now anything but that. The wind always a factor here in this corner of the golf course. Back to 10.
Oh, there you see it. We'll go back to 11.
Ben will start this ball well right. This is no time for heroics. And he hits it right. While it may not look very good from there, it was a smart play to make. Tom Watson on the tee here at 12. With a 6-iron. Wind gusting back and forth. He's taking this one right at the flag. And that's where he's hit it. Ben Crenshaw at 11 under par has opened up a 3-stroke lead over Tom Kite, a 4-stroke lead over David Edwards, Larry Nelson, and Mark Lai.
One of the more remarkable performances in this year's Masters was turned in by Calvin Peete. He shot a 79 on the first round. He then shot 10 under par in the next 3 rounds, including a 66, which is one of 3 of the lowest rounds in this tournament. And Calvin, what turned it around for you? I thought after that first round you weren't even going to make the cut.
I was thinking the same thing, Brent, but I would have to say that my attitude has really been my worst enemy, you know, coming into the Masters. Ever since the first year, I just had that feeling that I couldn't win here because the golf course played so long, you know, with the bad weather. But this year the weather was much better, and I felt much better, even though I got off to a bad start the first round. I think I had 4 3-putt greens, but I didn't let it bother me because I knew I was striking the ball well, and I felt that if I can get a few good rounds in there, I could get back in, you know. So I feel that, you know, my attitude is getting better, obviously, because I played better the last 3 rounds, and I'm just hoping to, right now I'm just looking forward to coming back next year.
Calvin, how about Ben Crenshaw, our leader right now? Will it hold up for him?
Ben is playing awfully well right now. I played a couple of practice rounds with him earlier this year, and he's striking the ball well, and I feel that he has the determination that it takes to win, and I feel that he's going to hold on.
All right, thank you, Calvin. Let's go out to the 13th.
David Graham for birdie. And that puts David Graham at 7 under par. He joins Tom Watson there. Watson also birdied the hole just a moment ago. And once the putt safely in, both Tom and his caddy glanced over at the scoreboard to see if there was any hope yet, and they are 4 back, so there is indeed. And meanwhile, as you look back down the fairway, Ben Crenshaw marching for what he hopes will be his first major championship. Put his drive, Ken, perfect position.
It looks like he has some indecision. He's not sure. He shook his head, and I think he's not, there's a go-between point in there that you have to watch, and now he has to guard against, don't make 6, 4 is nice, but let them come to you. Don't you go back to them.
Now that yardage you saw is to the pin.
I believe he'll lay up. I really have a feeling he might lay up. It would be a smart play because he's not really sure that that would be the shot to go at it.
Yeah, he's not in a position, Ken, where he has to have eagle or birdie here.
Well, if he lays up, he has not eliminated birdie. But if he misses the green and goes in the creek, now he's looking at possible 6. So he can still make 4.
He's probably 180 yards from that tributary to Rays Creek that cuts across the fairway.
He's laying up on the right side. I think he made a right move.
That's perfect.
I don't know what he was disgruntled about.
Well, the young man from Austin has that much left. And meanwhile, let's go to 12.
Third shot of Tom Kite in an effort to get it close and very nearly put it in the water again. to 13.
And Nick Faldo, who has no option. If he wants to move up the leaderboard, he has got to go for it, and has chosen to do so. Been a disastrous day for Nick. Side hill lie, 240 yards from the pin. Oh, that looks good. And it is good. That's a fine shot. He'll have to come up on the plateau, but he's about 35 feet away from eagle. Let's go to 17.
Very quietly coming out of the pack, Gil Morgan. That's his second shot to the 400-yard par 4 17th. He started the day -3. He's currently at 8 under, tied for second, missed the green off to the right, but not that far away. Raymond Floyd hold it from there a moment ago. Meanwhile, back at 12.
Fourth shot for Kite here at 12 as his problems are not over. Let's go to 14.
Larry Nelson in a four-way tie for second with a birdie putt could move into second, 2 strokes back of the leader Crenshaw. This is the par 4 14th. He's in good position. The difficult putts have come from above the hole to the left of the hole. Nelson tied with David Edwards, Morgan, and Kite for second at this point. And so Larry will stay 8 under, remain tied for second, and 3 strokes off the pace set by Ben Crenshaw. Let's go ahead to 18.
Raymond Floyd.
Be up. Be up there.
Only come down a little.
Another good tournament for Raymond.
Good tournament for David Edwards.
That's something what he did. Back to 17.
Gil Morgan tied for second. Third shot here to the par 4, about 30 feet away from the pin, just off the right edge. He's working on back-to-back birdies at 15 and 16. Look at this. Very nicely done. 1.5 away from par, and we go to 12.
That was Tom Kite making triple bogey 6 to 13.
And Ben Crenshaw, who has had just the opposite kind of day through Amen Corner, he's enjoying a march through the Georgia Pines. And this is his third shot on the par 5 13th hole. That checked up on him. But Ben has accomplished his aspirations here on 13, safely on in 3, and would be content to settle for a 2-putt and a par 5. Let's go to 17.
Outstanding amateur Richard Fair. That's a bid for birdie. He started the day -3, is now at even par, but bidding to become low amateur, which is a great honor indeed in the 1984 Masters. He's from Seattle, Washington, playing in his second Masters and is a student at Brigham Young. Back to 14.
David Graham, his second shot at this par 4. He is 7 under, started the day 7 under. And it will roll back, but he'll have a considerable putt of 25. Let's go ahead to 18.
David Edwards for birdie. I mentioned a minute ago what he had accomplished. Watch this.
Got to go 8 under. What a round. Started at 3 under. A fine round of 67. Boy, he has put up some numbers in the last round this year.
That is the lowest round of the day, and here comes Raymond Floyd.
You know, Pat, amazing thing too, right behind David Edwards, I can't remember anything like this, his brother Dan Edwards.
I agree. Back to 13.
Turn it.
Park line.
Turn and get a bounce. Good shot.
He got the turn, he got the big bounce. And next on the tee will be Tom Kite, whose dreams for 1984 have fallen awry. 11 and 12. Triple bogey on 12. Even the dogs are discontented.
Turn over. Turn over. Good shot.
Perfect. And meanwhile, back on the green, Ben Crenshaw. And this will come up the plateau. Birdies today at the 2nd, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, and the 12th. One bogey. There's a certain degree of confidence that you sense in just watching his demeanor now, don't you?
Well, he played that third shot a little safe. He looked like he tried to play a little bump and run rather than pitch it up to all the way to the hole, Vern. But with that stroke, that's a nice little thing to fall back on.
So he is safely through the 13th at 11 under par. And let's go to 17.
Go Morgan. Morgan for par. And so like Dave Edwards, he started at -3. Is 5 under today, now at -8, tied for second, and we go to 18.
Raymond Floyd.
Floyd at 3 under par for the tournament, just as he started the day. That for 72 today and finish at 3 under. It's not a bad score, but when you look at all the red numbers that are up there, Pat, it's you think about, you know,
it certainly is not a bad score.
Where'd you go?
You think about when he tied the record, when he won wire to wire.
Still a good tournament.
Raymond has kept saying, I'm playing well. Just haven't been able to putt.
When you think about how fine a line it is, though, he's 3 under par and 11 under is leading. 8 shots. That's only 2 shots around.
Here's the other brother.
And then he goes at 2 under par for the tournament.
And there's his brother David. Back out to 14.
Tom Watson, a birdie putt. And he could move into a tie for second as he is, at this moment, 7 under. Watson will remain 7 under if he can tap this in for the par. David Graham likewise had a birdie putt here at 14, and he came up considerably short. Let's go back to 13.
And it seems so long ago, Tom Kite had a 2-stroke lead. That was back in the front 9. Tom going for it in 2. Just about the exact spot Larry Nelson hit his second shot here. Tom now 4 over for this afternoon round. And he is at 5 under par and 6 back of the leader, Ben Crenshaw. Meanwhile, Mark Lai, who had the lead overnight but then lost it in the completion of the third round this morning with his second shot. That's going left. And falls down into the swale that is a part of this reconstructed green, and that leaves him with an extraordinarily difficult third shot. Let's go to 15.
Larry Nelson has had the 3-wood out, put it back in the bag. He's had 5 minutes to wait at the top of the hill. And now a test of courage and skill. He's got 245 yards to the flag. The water 40 feet below his feet. Nope, he hates it. Big hook, right into the stands, one bounce on the Saracen Bridge, and oblivion. And there, you might say, sunk Nelson's chances. Eagle or birdie, and he gets to 9 or 10 under par. And then he's put the pressure to Crenshaw. As it is, he's fired and fallen back. And now Fred Couples, of course, just for him a mere iron shot of 230 yards. He's using a 2-iron. And we'll go to the 18th.
Back in the middle of the fairway. Dry. Gil Morgan, then Richard Fair, the amateur.
Morgan hit a beautiful drive up here, 8 under par, and I wouldn't. He would like to post 9 and just see what happens, and he's in perfect position. Green in very high, but he's got to draw the ball more.
In high.
Realistic chance there. He'd like to have drawn that ball in there more.
Gil Morgan, remarkable. He has appeared from almost nowhere, but Crenshaw still leads.
Dave Edwards is in with that 67, the low round posted so far this afternoon. First time in the Masters, you did not have a round above par. This course is supposed to be much tougher for first-timers. A 280 ties the record. Congratulations, David.
Thank you very much.
How did you find it out here in your first Masters? Were you at all nervous?
A little bit. I think winning at L.A. earlier in the year helped me learn to control my nerves a little bit better. And I had been with Danny here about 6 years ago, the first couple times he played in the Masters, just watching, and had looked forward to finally getting to play here one day, and so it was just a thrill to be here.
You think Crenshaw will hold his lead now?
It's hard to say. This golf course has brought a few people to their knees in its day. I know several times guys have had leads and come back, so I don't know, I'll have to wait and see.
Let's go to 13.
All right, Tom Kite for eagle. Trying to get 2 back of the 3 he lost on the 12th hole. That'll come up short. And let's go to 14.
Ben Crenshaw hooked his tee shot to the left of the fairway. This par 4, dog legs left, and then you have the fairway sloping right, but he didn't want to get this far left, but he does have an open approach to the green. Crenshaw, the leader by 3. He's going to have to keep this low. He's taken a lot of time in his club selection, and he's
Hold it, please. Hold it, please. Back inside.
That is not where Ben Crenshaw wants to be. The pin is to the right, and he is up and must come downhill with a very difficult putt. Let's go ahead to 15.
Larry Nelson in the drop area in front of the green, playing his 4th shot. And this is no bargain either. The green now well above him. Hogs back, little plateau. That's as good as he could have possibly wished for. And back to the 40th.
Where Tom Kite has this left for birdie. There is no surcease from the weariness of the day. He'll have to settle for a par 5. And it has been an unexpectedly long turn around Amen Corner for Tom Kite. Mark Lie par, let's go to 18.
For par, the amateur Richard Fade. Great turn. Start of the day -3, finishes level.
But I imagine he will finish low amateur, Pat.
He will. The man he's playing with has had a spectacular day. Gil Morgan started -3, is now -8.
With Crenshaw where he is at 14, Gil Morgan, I'm sure, would like to post 9 under and sit there and wait, as we've said so many times, because he's so far ahead of Crenshaw that sit there and wait, and that posted score a lot of times finally wins.
Put the number up and let him go at it.
This putt was made by David Edwards not too long ago.
For one of the birdies, one of the 3 birdies that have been made at 18 today.
He's taking his time, and he knows what it's worth, and it's worth the time.
Good speed.
Just lost it a little bit. Good roll, though. Can't afford to give it a rip, but 8 under may be a little short today, Pat.
8 under posted by Gil Morgan. Good round. Great round.
67, another one. He and David Edwards both with 67s. Good tournament. Good player.
So the numbers are there. That's up to Crenshaw. And we go back to 15.
Larry Nelson, who has played 4 shots. He's got this little testing downhill putt for par, and he will look at it from every angle, obviously. So we'll go back to the 14th.
And here is Ben Crenshaw, and Ken Venturi, he would gladly get down in 2 now.
This is like putting down a marble staircase right here and trying to stop it on one of the steps. If he gets down in 2 with this, not only will he show you how good a putter he is, it may be the most important 2-putt he has ever had in this tournament.
Ken, what have you said about 14 so many times? Well, let's go to 15 first.
And this is the par putt of Larry Nelson. What a great putt that was. Let's go back to the 14th.
Kenny, you've said so many times, you don't win it here, but you can lose it here.
I did 3 times. I 3-putted it 3 years here, 58, 56, 58, and 60. I 3-putted and lost 3 tournaments by a total of 4 strokes.
This is about 65 feet away.
Watch this. That was a little tentative. He would like to have been below there.
So he has a difficult par putt coming up. He is 10, 12 feet away and still coming downhill. Nick Faldo now doing a little housekeeping as he gets ready for his birdie putt.
He's played that so many times, Gary, that we all know how fast it is, and at times you feel like you can't hit it easy enough. But if anything, from where he was, he'd like to have been more past the hole.
Faldo is 3 under.
He'll learn something here, Gary, from Nick Faldo's putt. He'll watch this closely. It's almost on the same line, and he will be more interested in the speed than he would be the break.
Now he's a tentative putt also. And so Crenshaw now, as Faldo will tap in for his par. Tom Weiskopf, your thoughts as Crenshaw does some surveying here?
Well, at least he had a chance to watch Nick's putt. Now, he knows how fast it is, and the thing that will concern him, I think, Gary, will be the fact that if he hits it a little bit too firm and catches an edge of the hole, it can spin by 4 or 5 feet very easily. He will play a dying type of putt. He will not take a chance with a bold putt. He will just let the ball carry itself to the hole. He's trying to find the line. He'll have to play more break with a dying putt. But for sure, he's not going to give it a real firm effort.
Of course, David Edwards, who is in the clubhouse with you there, watching this, I'm sure with a lot of interest, along with Gil Morgan, who's in the clubhouse. And at this moment, 3 strokes behind this man, Ben Crenshaw.
Come on.
He did it. That may do it. I know there's still 4 holes to go, but Ken Venturi, that really has to give him a lift.
Well, I thought the one at 10 was big and the putt he made there, but that one there might have been the one that he'll remember for the rest of his life. If he does win the Masters, that's the one.
Ben Crenshaw still 11 under as he moves on to 15. Let's go to 16.
Larry Nelson at 8 under.
Be right.
It's a 5-iron. And perfect length. Perhaps a little unlucky not to roll closer to the pin. Back to the 15th.
Well, Ben Crenshaw now has a moment of truth awaiting him. He has got to be long from the tee to give himself a chance to go for the green. But Nick Faldo is to play first. 3 under par for the tournament, 4 over today. Had a sickening spell in the middle of the round that put him out of it. Let's go back to the 14th.
Well, Tom Kyte is in difficulty here. His second shot at par, 4/14. He is left to the fairway, out of the fairway, hooking the shot. And he goes over the green to the back. And let's go ahead now to 15.
And a very vital tee shot of Ben Crenshaw. 2 pines blocking his way down the left should he hook it. Mounds to the right. But it's essential to be long. He's as loose as a man can be in this position. Swing he put on that one. Down the left-hand side, he's going to have to draw the ball round those pines, but that's his natural shape anyhow. So a nice stroll to the top of the hill for Ben Crenshaw with a 3 strokes advantage over David Edwards, Gil Morgan and Larry Nelson.
Ben Daniel Crenshaw holding a 3-stroke advantage here in the Masters, and Tom Weiskopf, that seems to me to be insurmountable.
Well, not really. He's going to have to make a choice. If he goes to the green, he risks the chance of maybe making a 6 or a 7. Larry Nelson is still in position, a great birdie opportunity at 16, still has 3 holes left to play.
And here is Larry.
And there have been a lot of birdies on this hole already, 11 in total out of the 39 players. But this one's coming down the hill, only slightly, yet you feel that he has to really go for this one at least reasonably firmly. 3 shots behind and really needs to make 3 birdies. I think the break there is a little deceptive. I've watched a lot of putts miss on that side from that very angle this afternoon, and there you are, you see the effect of the slope. Larry Nelson with 3 pars on this hole so far. In fact, yesterday, Tom Weiskopf, he was using 2 putters in his bag, dropped his 2-iron out.
I was thinking about using 3 putters.
So that slides in the left-hand door, and Larry Nelson remains at 8 under par, 3 behind. And let's go through to 15.
And that is where Ben Crenshaw drove the ball at this devilishly dangerous par 5 with those 2 pines getting bigger every year, and he's just got to draw the ball a little to get round them. He's got 242 yards to the flag, and the wind seems, at least at this end of the hole, 40 feet or so below his level, to have dropped to nothing at all at the moment. And he is obviously going to lay up, and I think that is a very wise decision.
I think, Ben, he should lay back more than he should get up close. Don't you think so?
I agree, and I think that's what he's going to do, Ken. It's a 7-iron. So he's just going to come up over those trees and go for a reasonably flat lie, which he's got down the left-hand side.
Good choice.
Very wise at this stage of the game. For Faldo, however, there's no such choice. It has to be 3 wood or nothing, and he has 240 yards to the flagstick. As I say, little or no wind in his face at the moment. Looked like a pretty good stroke he put on that one, but it's too big. In fact, he's hit it the best part of 280 yards, and now has a really difficult pitch back from close by the pond at the 16th. A lovely look down at that splendid target, and we'll go forward to the 16th.
And on the tee at 16, it's Tom Watson, who is 7 under. He's picked up 1 shot today. Started the tournament with a rather indifferent 74, but has since had rounds of 67 and 69. Most picturesque hole, playing at 170 yards today. The pin just on the right edge of the left-hand bunker, only 7.5 feet from the edge of the green, so you certainly can't afford to go left. But you can play a percentage shot to the right, and the slope will invariably bring the ball back to the pin. Well, a brave shot straight over the top of the pin. It was a 6-iron. but it is the first time I've seen in 3 years the pin down on the left-hand side to the 15th.
Looking back across the pond to Ben Crenshaw, who's got 80 yards to the flagstick, and the sun has come out and is strong in his eyes. The water is still. The galleries are enormous. This hole is virtually surrounded, and it is an absolutely magnificent scene. And that little sliver of green. He's been very sensible in laying up in this position because he is actually just about at the same elevation as the green itself. But this is a real moment of truth, a test of courage. He doesn't want to get too much action on the ball because he can draw it back into the water very easily. Waiting for the players to get their ovations at the 17th green. On the face of that most charming young Texan, so earnestly craving his first major championship, and no one could more richly deserve it. A man who has such tremendous respect for the traditions of this game. And this is a very lovely moment for him as he walks across Gene Saracen's bridge. You need hardly be reminded that Ed Sneed came here in 1979 and walked out from the 15th green with a 3-stroke advantage, only to lose the title. Nick Faldo with a very difficult stroke to play. There you see how far below the putting surface he is. And of course when he gets over the ball, anything a little thin and the water lurks with menace. Anything a little fat and he doesn't get to the putting surface. And that is how this hole has played. 7 eagles, 94 birdies, 106 pars, 14 bogeys and 2 of the dreaded 7s. Let's go to the 17th.
Larry Nelson has some difficulty. His tee shot hit a large bushy pine down the left side about 200 yards out, and he is below the crest of the hill. He will have a blind second shot. You see that pine there? It crashed through there, then dropped to the bottom. And he has got a long way to go and some big problems as we go back to 15.
And the third shot of Faldo, who's chosen to play a pitch and run. And that really is a quite elegant stroke. And so he's salvaged a little from the wreck. The wreck came on the outward half when he took 40 to the turn and then bogeyed the 10th hole. Let's go 4 to the 17th.
Nelson has taken the walk to the top of the hill and gone back near the bottom. Now about to hit his second shot. Better than 200 yards away. The pin far right-hand side. This is the traditional Sunday pin placement, and he winds up in that front bunker. So Nelson, who is 3 under today, 8 under, tied for second, back to 16.
This is Watson attempting a 2. The ball will turn to his right at the end and goes down the hill. Well, that's a marvellous putt there for Tom Watson. His second 2 of the tournament, and that takes Watson to 8 under par. Let's go back to the 15th.
And Crenshaw plumb bobs this putt of some 12 or 13 feet. It will go from right to left. And one feels that his years as a perennial bridesmaid may be over. Tied for 2nd last year, tied for 8th in 1981, tied for 6th in 1980, for 8th again in 1977, and was 2nd alone to Ray Floyd, but a distant 2nd in 1976. This for birdie to extend his lead to 4 shots. A plump cushion indeed.
Yes, indeed.
Well, he's always been a magician, but this is far and away better than anything he's ever produced. And he surveys the leaderboard across from him, and the figures tell a very favorable story for him, with his rivals falling back. Now Nick Faldo for a birdie. Oh, aye. Well, he had to fire into the face of a lot of lenses. That's a sad par. He remains 3 under. And Crenshaw goes to 16, and we got him 17.
The Georgian among Georgians. Larry Nelson's bunker shot leaves him about 9, maybe 10 feet for his par. We move back to 15.
This is the second shot of Tom Kite. A desperate measure, 245 yards from the flagstick. Will it stay up? Yes. Just on the front edge. Kite at 5 under, and we'll go to the 16th.
And there's the view that Ben Crenshaw has of this beautiful par 3, one of the most famous in golf, surrounded by 3 bunkers. And there we are, Crenshaw with a very healthy 4-shot lead. This is the last hole where he has to go over water. The hole is 170 yards, playing at a 5 or 6 iron today. But, well, really, Tom Weiskopf, 4 shots, that's a pretty big lead.
I think it is, and Ben is playing so well that obviously he is going to play off this bank to the right of the pin, Clive. He will stay away from that water, believe me. He's playing around the strongest part of his game. As we've watched, he's played to the green, and he's working around his putter. That's the best part of his game. He's swinging well, he's hitting the ball solid, he's playing position on the green and then putting.
Well, that's exactly what Tom said he'd do, hit it right to the pin. The ball just holds up on that plateau.
Up there. I've been trying to get a ball to
Well, Ben looks pretty mystified about the ball staying up there on the top right side. That really has been the hard place to get all week, where the pin has been. But through to the 18th.
Wayne Levy
I've seen so many putts from the same direction and slightly misses below the hole. A little gust of wind got to him right there. You could just feel the breeze, Pat.
A lot of wind. Just suddenly. You can tell by Wayne's concern back to 16.
And here's Nick Faldo, who, well, I'm sure all the British fans are rather disappointed for Nick. He's shown he can win in European country and many other parts of the world, but, well, it really is sad to see him fall apart this afternoon. And two edging its way too far to the right. And he is going to give Ben Crenshaw a very good idea of the line from there. That is a very fast putt. Our television cameras flatten the green, but there's a huge slope down to this pin. Forward to the 18th.
Wayne Levy just made par. Now Rex Caldwell, who's playing with him. Rex has had a good tournament. Wayne did too. Back to 17.
Larry Nelson, this from about 15 feet for his par. Well, Larry's got some difficulties here, and we've got a battle going on for second place. He's one of 4 players in a 4-way tie. This is live. And he is now dropped out of that 4-way tie. So disaster after hitting the bunker here on 17. We go to 16.
Ovation for Crenshaw. And it was Clifford Roberts who said that the Masters was to contribute to the spirit of the game, and I also think there's a young man, Ben Crenshaw, down there who's done just that. What a popular man he is. Now Nick Faldo, who's 3 under, 4 over for today with this very fast putt. This is actually a hole he's played very well. He had a 2 on the first day, a 2 on the second day, and a par 3 when he finished off the 3rd round this morning. The pin, though, easily in the easiest position, although both these players have gone up the top right side, giving themselves a very awkward putt. As Tom Weiskopf was saying, this is one of the birdie holes, so is 18, but let's go forward to the 17th.
Second shot upcoming, David Graham, 7 under par, 1 shot out of second. The left center portion of the fairway, up over that bunker, but off the front edge. And he's got some work to do. That pin is cut just 12 feet from the back edge of the putting surface on absolutely the highest point of this heavily contoured green. Now Watson. He's tied for second with Gil Morgan and David Edwards, who have both finished. Absolutely split the fairway with his drive. And he'll have a birdie chance from about 15 feet, maybe a little bit more than that. Tom has parred this hole the first 3 days, and we go back to 16.
And here's Nick Faldo, and of course one must remember that he's played 3 very good rounds this week, 70, 69 and 70, all well under the par of Augusta. He started off, in fact, last year with 2 70s, obviously likes the course, plays it well, and I'm sure we're going to see him back here doing extremely well in future years. So this long putt down the hill, and at the end it'll break a little bit from the right, but very much a putt of pace.
Look at Crenshaw watching that putt.
He watched that all the way. Clive, he watched that speed of that from the time it left the putter head.
Well, again, for Crenshaw, it's going to be the same sort of idea, and really pace, perhaps more than line, is the important thing. It really has been a great breakthrough, though, Ken, for Ben Crenshaw, considering that he hasn't won a major. I mean, he has been around a long time, and of course the pressure must surely build.
Well, everybody wants a major because it kind of caps off careers. His career is not being capped off, but if anyone, I would have to think in the whole field that wanted one major more than anything, I would have to say it would be Ben Crenshaw. And I might pick this as the championship he'd like to win.
Crenshaw then, this big cushion of 4 shots with 2 holes to play. Well, you've got to be a bit of a magician to do that. Crenshaw been putting so beautifully all afternoon. 6 birdies, only 1 bogey, and no more water to go across. So really, there seems very little indeed that can stop Ben taking the title. The 17th, a relatively simple par 4 and a fairly wide driving hole. There's really no rough or any great amount of trees. But here's Nick Faldo, and he has this uphill putt for a par. Forward to the 17th.
Tom Watson has a putt here which could put him into undisputed possession of second place at 9 under par, coming back after the problems he has had earlier this year. Well, Bob Murphy's a very close friend of his, and what about those problems, Bob? How would you analyze it?
Well, Tom just wasn't playing well. He's playing better now, and his mental attitude is as good as it's been in a long time, and he admits it himself.
This to go 3 under today. An inch and a half. And he will remain in the log jam at 8 under par for the tournament. He's tied for this second place in this championship twice before. Let's go back to 16.
And that's Ben Crenshaw making his par, remaining at 12 under with just 2 holes to play, and almost certain to be wearing the green jacket in half an hour or so's time. Beautiful hole, and I'm sure one that Ben is glad to be past.
Ben Crenshaw has reached the tee here, this 400-yard par 4. You see that large bushy pine there, left center. That's the one that Larry Nelson hit a few moments ago. But it's only about 200 yards or so out, and most of the players are able to fly it rather easily. An ideal position off the tee here is left center. But as Clive mentioned, you really can't get in too much trouble here once you get past that bushy pine. Crenshaw has parred this hole for the first 3 days. Gallery seems to like it. And he will. That's exactly where he wants to be.
Pretty good save shot.
And 5 under for his round today. Nick Faldo, who started the day at -7 and has dropped back to 3 under par, will try to match it. Dwight Eisenhower, once upon a time, the story goes, tried to get him to cut that tree down at 17 because so many of his tee shots hit it. Former president, of course, was a member here at the Augusta National. Also a fine drive by Nick Faldo. But the man of the hour is Ben Crenshaw, striding toward his first green jacket at the age of 32. He's done everything there is in golf except win a major championship, and that looks to be just about a hole and a half away right now, as he has that 4-shot cushion over Dave Edwards, over Gil Morgan, and Tom Watson. It is Ben Crenshaw's day here at the Augusta National.
Little trivia regarding Ben Crenshaw, the only man to win 3 consecutive NCAA golf championships while he was playing out of Texas. He, of course, tied his teammate and good friend Tom Kite for that 3rd title. They did not have a playoff. They just awarded the 2 Longhorns co-championships. And, of course, one of the reasons why we're running a bit long here with the final round is the fact that we had to finish the 3rd round earlier today. And as you watch Ben Crenshaw stride down the fairway, keep in mind that earlier today at the end of the 3rd round, he missed a putt at the 18th, and he was very unhappy with himself, and he went over to the practice and worked on it. Now let's send you out to the 16th.
This is Tom Kite. Well, he's attacking the pin. Oh, and that's dangerously near the water. I think, though, it's just held up. Through to the 18th.
Larry Nelson.
Double bogey at 17. And he says to himself, why now?
Back to 17.
Faldo getting ready to hit his 2nd shot. Shame that Nelson did make that double bogey here, because that putt would have moved him into a tie for 2nd. Faldo taking a long time looking over this 2nd. He's got a couple of little mounds in front of him, but that won't bother him. The pin on the back right, you miss it long here, and he's only got 12 feet to play with to the back edge. You're down a very steep embankment, and the same goes if you miss it off to the side. Bunker directly in front, but plenty of green directly in front of that bunker for Faldo to work with. To 16.
Tom Kite.
Oh,
shot. To 17.
Faldo about ready. 7, 8 iron distance away. Not bad. 15, 17 feet short. Pulls up a little bit. There's a little bridge on the green here at 17 that bisects it, and that caught the low side of the ridge. That outfit that Ben Crenshaw is wearing will go very nicely with a green jacket. We'll be running past our normal time of 6 o'clock, but obviously we'll stay with you all the way here. History being made at the Augusta National. He has a 7 iron. He is far left and off the back edge. Not a good shot at all. To 18.
David Graham.
Way in the back of the green. Boy, that is, it's got to come back a little bit, but what a difficult putt that is.
Ball still moving a little bit, now it's stuck.
I would consider that to be about a 25-foot break in that.
Here's Watson.
Watson, birdie here could move him into second all by himself, Pat.
Right. He's already 8 under.
Draw. Come on, draw.
Keep drawing, or go behind it, then back up into it. Good shot at it, though.
Makeable birdie putt. But birdie putts for anybody right now will not catch Ben Crenshaw, who is minus 12 and in command.
Golf's greatest tradition is the awarding of the green jacket after a competitor wins the Masters. And of course, we will have that ceremony for you following Ben Crenshaw's triumphant march up that 18th fairway. That is one of the great moments in sport after he finishes 17 and moves over to 18, and the crowd will tell the entire story as he comes up. Now he's on 17, so let's go back to Frank Lieber.
And Brent, just off the back edge, you'll have to come up with the rise and down to the pin. 50, 55 feet away. But has some strokes to play with here with a 4-shot advantage. Hard to put the brakes on that one. And he's looking at the better part of 22 feet coming back for par. But with that trusty blade of his, don't be surprised if he runs it in, because he's been making everything else. I recall last year he told us that putter was given to him by his dad when he was in high school. And he's been using it for 15 years, and occasionally he goes away from the putter for a day or two, but always comes back to it. And it seems to have some magic within it. Certainly on this day. He'll wait now as Nick Faldo goes for birdie from about 20 feet, just to go at 4 under par. Another contest here. That is to finish in the top 24 in this tournament, because if you achieve that feat, you are automatically invited back next year. And he'll have a little work coming back, about 4 feet worth for his par. This day at -3, and we move ahead to 18.
And that difficult challenge that faces David Graham.
He'll have to play this very high, and then it'll come down and start breaking, and it's very fast.
Look out.
Very swift. Not nearly enough break. He could have gone much higher. Leaves himself 8, 9 feet now.
Back to 17.
Crenshaw's done his homework. This is his attempt for par to stay at 12 under. A little better than 20 feet away. Putt will break from his left to his right. Almost made another one. Well, a bogey's always disappointing, but maybe less so when you're 4 shots in front with 1 hole to play. So his advantage now is 3 strokes over Dave Edwards, Gil Morgan, and Tom Watson as he heads to the 18th tee. Let's go to 18.
And speaking of Watson, this is for birdie.
I would say of all the putts, either they have made it or they have missed it to the left on this putt. Moves left.
Jammed it.
Hello. The game is not over yet, Pat.
Nope, you're right.
Crenshaw has a 2-shot lead with 1 hole to play. At least
think back a couple of days. What happened to David Graham?
At least Watson has made Crenshaw play 18.
Which he is about to do. over to 17.
Well, Tom Kite's problems continue. His tee shot hit the tree, and he's going to have difficulty, perhaps the same type of problem that Larry Nelson had a few moments ago, and he wound up making double bogey 6. Meanwhile, back at 18.
Here's David Graham for par. Back at 17.
Well, Kite looking at the better part of 200 yards. Blind second shot as a result of hitting that tree. Fine golf shot. To 18.
And on the tee, the leader. Ben Crenshaw playing with Nick Faldo. Crenshaw has made 4 here, then 5 here, then 4.
I don't believe he's hitting a driver, Pat.
I wouldn't think so. 3-wood?
It looks like it. Yeah, I would. He doesn't want to go in that bunker. He has to play it left to right.
All right, shot, man.
An awfully good swing.
Oh, well placed and well thought out, too.
Right in the middle of the fairway. What goes, Ken, because you won the U.S. Open 1964 and you played here so many times. You look at that scene, you look at that site. What must he be thinking right now?
Well, he's thinking about victory, but when he hits this, I'll talk to you in a minute. Let's go back to 17.
Okay.
Mark Lai is about to hit his second shot from the right center portion of the fairway. Disappointing day. But truly not a disappointing tournament when you consider he's making his first start here at the Masters. Just off the right edge. Lai, who grew up in Napa, California, now lives in Tallahassee, is at 6 under par, 2 over for the round today, but Ben Crenshaw has that 2-shot lead and is about to make that most impressive walk up to the 18th green here in the final round of the 1984 Masters.
Here are some other finishing scores that I am sure you're interested in, and of course a reminder that we will have live coverage of the green jacket ceremony. That is golf's greatest honor coming up. For Ben Crenshaw, he is now striding down that 18th fairway, and as Pat Summerall was saying to Ken Venturi, what must be going through his mind? And Ken, I imagine the first thing that goes through his mind is, I got to make still a couple of good golf shots here.
Well, he's placed himself perfectly at 18 here. He's come up the hill. He's played it wisely with a 3-wood. Now he knows that he's going to have victory if he plays his shot correctly. And when he hits this, if he hits this on the green, and he knows that the cushion of 2 shots, as he walks up and feels the victory, that's what he'll remember the rest of his life as long as he lives. And this shot is all important for him to put it on the green. Takes it in very high, right in the middle of the green. Absolutely perfect. He knows it now. He knows it now. Let's go to 17.
And Tom Kite, who is the leader, keep in mind, going into this final round. That's for birdie. And he comes up a couple of feet short. He'll have that left to stay at 6 under par and will par in for a 75. Meanwhile, back to 18.
Nick Faldo playing with Crenshaw. And that has to be a very difficult situation, too.
It is a disappointing day, and playing with the champion and trying to do your best. He just got off to a bad start.
Good shot.
get the applause, and this is what he will remember.
Nothing more need be said.
You're right.
I've been here since 1968, and I cry every time.
Well, Patrick, when you've been in sports and had victory, you've had it there, and I've been fortunate a little bit of my time, but I think back when I look at those kind of things that happen, and I still think back, it's about what victory is worth, and all the money in the world can't buy that applause, and all the times of your life, those memories will live with you, and that's what keeps you going. And I think that is the thrill of victory, is the applause and the acceptance, and to be so popular as Ben is, and how much he loves the game. I don't think the Augusta National could choose a finer champion.
Well, he certainly contributed a lot and put a lot back.
You know, we were talking earlier about this championship and Ben not having a major championship. And I think that, as we said again, and I will say again, that this would have been his choice. And it's nice to know that even though where he is, I'm sure he'll get down in 2, but he doesn't have to, and it makes it much easier. And he's letting Nick Faldo put out first, because if it happened to go in, he wants to give Faldo a chance to pull out and finish up his day. Just that short, and Par disappointing, finishing 76, and we'll finish at 285.
Crenshaw may not have a major championship in the record book, but as a human being, he is one already.
I know you're a big fan of his, and I know a lot of people. I am a big fan of his. But I'll tell you what, I was very impressed today when the way he conducted himself, and the putt he made at 10 was fantastic, but I still will give my vote the putt that he made at 14.
At 14,
may
right.
be the one. He played a brilliant shot into 12. He played smartly at 11. Played a great iron into 12 to make 2 in a time that it could have cost it, where it cost Kite. Kite, who lost it there, that was the end of his day when he made 5 there. Played smartly at 13 and 15.
How dare there be bugs?
They want to watch. But this will just come off the top of the hill and roll it down, and that's how far away he is from just the Masters Championship.
Go in. Go in. Go in.
it didn't go in. I know he'd like to have it closer. He would wish he could just go up and tap it in.
Now that was, however, Kenny, a championship roll.
Oh yeah, he was bold, and we mentioned the bold was going to play the best here and putt the best here.
That's right, you did say that. The bold putter would win.
Look at the records of Nicklaus and the Watsons and those who are bold. The champion.
Sensational tournament. What a job your staff has done. I wish every major sporting event was run this well.
Well, that's very kind, Brent, and thank you. But first I want to say to Sevy how much we appreciate your staying over a couple of days. It's not nice to hang around after you miss the cut just to participate in a ceremony, but as you know, this was one started by Bob Jones, and it's a part of the tradition of the club. And as a member of the club, I know how you feel about it. Let's talk to Rick Fair here. Rick, there got to be a lot of people in Seattle and at Brigham Young University that are happy tonight.
Yeah, I'd be a bit more happy if I'd played a little bit better today, but overall I'm very happy with the way I played, and it's a great honor to finish low, the amateur.
This was your second appearance here. When might we expect to see you playing here as a professional?
Well, I was hoping to finish in the low 24, but I don't think today's round moved me up that high, but hopefully as soon as possible. It would be tough to get back next year, but hopefully a couple years in the future.
Well, what you're saying, though, is that you do plan to become a professional soon?
Next fall. I'll be in the tour school next fall.
Well, that's
hopefully
fine.
Be back out here.
Well, good luck and congratulations on your performance here this week. Thank you. Ben, I can't think of a more popular winner.
Well, I don't know what to say right now. I'm a little bit numb. It was certainly my day. You know, I made some putts. Good night. Number 10, I couldn't have made that putt again with 100 golf balls, I don't think. But I played a good front nine and a very good front nine. I could have been a little bit better, but I was determined today. I wasn't going to let it go, and I had my moments on the back nine. I hit two good tee shots on 13, 15, and I started looking back this way and looked at the board. The only thing I could do was play conservative because I didn't want to put 6, in the bag on 13, and with the new green, it's a little bit more difficult. So. And the same thing on 15. I could have knocked it across there, but what's the use?
I don't think anybody will challenge your strategy when you knew what your situation was. Of course, you finished, let's say, as a bridesmaid in the PGA and here, once alone and once tied for second.
Yes, sir.
And in the British Open. What do you think was the difference today?
Well, Mr. Hardin, I've just, about a year and a half ago, I went back to my old swing, and I started believing in myself again. And I believed in myself all week. I knew I could produce the shots. I hit my irons very well this week. I hit a number of good drives, and the old putter started working today and made some of the putts that I needed to. But I can't tell you how fortunate I am and so happy to win this tournament. I cannot tell you how much it means to me.
Well, let me ask you, at what point did you think, I've got it?
Well, this back nine is, a lot of things can happen. Yeah, after the 14th hole was really something. I did not hit a good tee shot, and I had a lie in the rough, and I had to try to play a flyer up to the green. I didn't know whether to land it up there or whether to turn it right to left or run it up the hill. And I ended up hooking it on the top end of the green. And I practiced that putt once or twice in the practice rounds, and I putted them all the way off the green, and I left it 20 feet short. But somehow I made that second one. I don't know how. That was the darndest two putt I've had in a good while.
Well, we saw you talking to yourself as you came off that green. Do you mind telling us what you said?
Yeah, I said, just, hold this thing together. You're looking all right now. Just keep hitting fairways and greens. That was my caddy told me that all day. Just fairways and greens.
Well, Ben, it's time to present you with the green jacket, which signifies that you are a lifetime member in this club. And Sevy, would you do the honors?
Sure.
Oh.
First of all, congratulations. Welcome to our club. You are a great champion and a fine gentleman.
Well,
it's
thank
very
you,
nice.
sir.
Great win.
Coming from you. I'm one of his biggest fans.
It's really your size.
Yeah,
Congratulations, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So it used to be that the eyes of Texas were upon our winner, and now it is the eyes of the whole world. Ben Crenshaw has won his first major championship, and the one he wanted the most of all. I'm Brent Musburger. For all of us at CBS, so long.